Turbo diesel drivers, you might be killing your engine without even knowing it. There's one thing you should never do after driving, and most people do it daily. Want your engine to live longer and perform better? Let's talk. Chapter 1. What is a turbo diesel engine? Alright, let's start with the basics. What even is a turbo diesel engine? It's a diesel engine with a turbocharger. Not clear? Here's how it works in simple terms. The turbo takes your exhaust gases, the hot air you'd usually waste, and uses them to spin a turbine. This turbine pushes more air into the engine, and that gives you more power, better fuel efficiency, and even less smoke. So why do we treat these engines differently? Because they're working overtime. Compared to normal engines, turbo diesels run hotter, faster, and have more moving parts. They're powerful, but also sensitive. You treat it wrong. Behind the scenes, you're burning oil, wearing parts out, or even killing the turbo. That's why you gotta know the rules to follow after driving if you want your turbo diesel to last. Chapter 2. Let the engine cool after driving. Let's begin with the first big mistake people make very frequently. They turn off the engine right after driving. Mechanics won't always say this, but it's a silent turbo killer. Here's why it matters. Turbochargers get incredibly hot, sometimes reaching over 150 degrees Celsius after a long or aggressive drive, especially in vehicles without an intercooler. When you suddenly stop and switch off the engine, the oil circulation stops immediately. But your turbo doesn't just freeze in place, it keeps spinning due to inertia. That means it's still moving at high speeds, without fresh oil to cool or lubricate it. Meanwhile, the intense heat trapped in the turbo starts to cook the remaining oil inside, breaking it down into thick carbon deposits. Over time, these deposits clog vital oil passages, increase friction, and wear out the turbo's internal components. The result? A dying turbo, reduced performance, and potentially thousands in repair costs. But is there any solution? Absolutely yes. Just let your car idle for 1 to 2 minutes before shutting it off. Let it sit there, running gently. That's all. This cools things down slowly and safely. It keeps the oil flowing so the turbo isn't left dry and burning. And honestly, it's one of the easiest ways to save thousands in repair bills. Even better? If you don't want to sit in the car for 2 minutes, here's a trick. Just drive the last kilometer at low RPM. That way, your turbo isn't spinning crazy fast when you park, and you've already started the cool down process. Most people skip this, but doing it will double your turbo's life. Okay, now you are ready to shut down, but before leaving the car, check these things. Chapter 3. Check your oil. You might be thinking, I'll just check it tomorrow morning. But waiting till tomorrow might mean waking up early, messing with your routine, and possibly starting your day with a car problem. And for turbo engines, that delay can cost you big time. Right after your drive, the engine's still warm, the oil is circulating, and you'll get the most accurate reading. This is the perfect time to check. Why? Because tomorrow, when everything's cold, you'll have to idle your engine for 10 minutes anyway, just to get things flowing smoothly. So why not be proactive? See, turbocharged engines depend heavily on proper oil flow. When the oil level is low, or worse, borderline empty, it's like asking your engine to run a marathon without water. Especially when it's cold outside. Cold oil is thick. Thick oil doesn't flow well. It struggles to get to all the tiny moving parts inside your turbo. Most people don't realize this, but in the first 10 minutes of driving, your oil is still warming up. So, what's the fix? Check your oil right after you park for the day, while it's still warm and moving freely. Top off if needed. This gives you time to plan your next ride, fix problems early, and ensure your engine wakes up to a full tank of lifeblood the next morning. So, you have enough time to give to your engine warm-up, but there is a twist in checking also. Chapter 4. Never rely on just looking at the oil or fluids. Usually we open the hood, glance at the oil dipstick, see black oil, and think, yup, looks bad, time to change it. But with diesel engines, black oil is totally normal. It just means it's doing its job, picking up soot and carbon particles that come from diesel combustion. What you should really care about isn't the color, it's the condition and level of the oil. And speaking of fluids, whether it's diesel exhaust fluid, engine oil, or even fuel, make sure you're using the right filler. One wrong top-up can mess with sensors, damage the turbo system, or clog up your exhaust filters. So always double-check what you're putting in and check it after long drives so you won't be late the next day. Chapter 5. Never interrupt active DPF regeneration. This one's a silent killer, and honestly, most turbo diesel owners don't even know it's happening. Diesel engines build up soot in their DPF, that's the diesel particulate filter. And every now and then, the engine has to clean itself out by burning off that soot. This is called active regeneration, and it happens automatically while you drive. You won't always notice it, but there are a few signs. The idle speed goes higher, around 980 RPM. You might hear the cooling fan running louder than normal, and if you're checking the dash, the battery voltage might spike a bit. But don't mess it up by turning off the engine while regen is happening, or taking a short trip, parking the car and leaving it. That interrupts the process. And when you stop regen halfway, you leave all that half-burnt soot inside the filter. Do that enough times, and your DPF gets clogged. So, pay attention to these kinds of changes while driving and check them once the drive is finished. And if you feel there is carbon buildup, then, Chapter 6, never let carbon sit inside the engine. See, every time you drive, especially short trips or slow, easy drives, your engine burns fuel. But if it never gets hot enough or revs high enough, carbon doesn't burn off completely. It just sits there. And over time, it hardens, sticks to valves, pistons, inside the turbo, like a slow-growing enemy. This is especially bad if you're always driving gently. Now, don't get me wrong. Driving easy is smart, but doing it all the time can lead to deposits building up in the engine. It's like brushing your teeth without ever flossing. Something's getting left behind. So what's the fix? Every now and then, your engine needs a good workout. We call it an Italian tune-up, basically, a solid highway run with some higher RPMs to really clean things out. Let the revs go up, get things hot, and give the engine a chance to burn off all that junk. But always let your engine cool down after that. If you burn hot and then shut it down immediately, you're just cooking the leftovers into rock-solid carbon. So, clean burn, proper cool down, then shut down. That's the winning combo. And, yeah, after that, long run, don't forget this one. Chapter 7. Watch your exhaust temps. Ever heard of EGTs? That's exhaust gas temperature. And when you're driving hard, those temperatures can get crazy high. Now, imagine shutting your engine off at that temperature. What happens? That heat doesn't just disappear. It sits inside your turbo and engine, and it keeps cooking everything. Pistons, valves, bearings. That kind of heat can crack heads and melt stuff that's supposed to stay solid. So, how do you protect it? If you can, install a pyrometer. It's a simple gauge that shows you EGTs. Before shutting the engine off, make sure temperatures have dropped to a safe range, ideally below 500 Fahrenheit, and definitely not over 1000 Fahrenheit. No pyrometer? That's okay too. Just idle the engine for a couple of minutes after a hard drive. So, after every ride, take 5 minutes to cool down your engine, and also check the oil, fuel, and recall anything unusual that happened during the drive. Did you hear a strange noise? Did the engine feel rough? Did any warning lights flash? These are signs your vehicle might be struggling. Catching them early can save you hundreds in mechanic fees. And if this helped, don't forget to subscribe.